Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive biological mystery unfolding in the coastal wilderness. It's honestly one of nature's craziest paradoxes. Think about it. How do apex predators, specifically brown bears, conquer these immense physical challenges, harbor what we'd consider absolutely terrifying parasites, and engineer their entire ecosystem, all while staying perfectly healthy?
Right, so how do bears gain hundreds of pounds without getting sick? I mean, if you or I ate massive amounts of food and rapidly packed on fat, we'd be in serious trouble. The World Health Organization points out that global obesity has tripled, and that brings major metabolic issues like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So how in the world does a bear pull this off right before hibernation? They literally gorge themselves, packing on unbelievable amounts of fat, yet they completely avoid all the metabolic disasters we humans face with rapid weight gain.
That brings us to Section 1. Gut microbes and metabolic magic. To find our first real clue, we need to zoom all the way down to the microscopic level of the bear's gut.
A super fascinating study in Cell Reports shows that the secret is actually a massive, seasonal shift in the bear's microbiome. Basically, during the summer, these microbes act like avid energy harvesters. They promote massive fat gain, but, and here's the magic, without messing up their glucose metabolism. Then, when winter hits, the whole microbiota completely restructures. We see way less diversity and a massive shift in the dominant types of bacteria, specifically moving from Firmicutes to Bacteroidetes.
Lead researcher Frederick Beckhead from the University of Gothenburg hit the nail on the head. He noted that the restructuring of the microbiota into a more avid energy harvester during the summer is, in his words, quite striking. What he realized is that this seasonal microbial shift acts as a literal metabolic switch. It's not just a byproduct of what the bears are eating. The microbes are actively managing the bear's energy and cold adaptation.
Now, to prove this wasn't just a coincidence, the researchers did something wild in the lab. They transferred fecal samples containing the bear's summer and winter microbes into germ-free lab mice. And the results? Absolutely mind-blowing. The mice that got the summer bear microbes gained way more weight and fat. But here is the kicker. Despite getting much fatter, these mice maintained or even improved their glucose metabolism. The bear's seasonal metabolic status was quite literally transferred to the mice via those microbes.
Moving on to Section 2, the raw salmon hitchhikers. Let's pivot and look at what these bears are actually gorging on to pack on all that fat, and check out the hidden dangers lurking inside their favorite meal. Think about 145 degrees Fahrenheit for a second. If you love cooking seafood at home, you probably know the FDA is pretty strict about this. That's the recommended internal cooking temperature for safely preparing wild fish, like salmon. And there's a really good reason for that rule. Hitting that safe internal temperature is absolutely crucial to kill off naturally occurring and incredibly dangerous pathogens. Wild aquatic environments are just teeming with bacteria like Salmonella and Vibrio, not to mention helminths, which are menacing worm-like parasites. Which, of course, begs the question, if raw salmon is so risky that humans need strict FDA guidelines, what on earth happens to a massive predator that eats hundreds of pounds of it, completely raw, every single day during the salmon run?
Well, according to the CDC, the bear unknowingly becomes the final runner in this bizarre biological relay race. It starts with microscopic eggs in the water, which get eaten by tiny crustaceans. Then, small fish eat those crustaceans. The larvae migrate into the fish's flesh, and bigger fish, like our salmon, eat the small fish. Finally, the bear eats the raw salmon, swallowing live larvae straight into its stomach.
That brings us to Section 3, living with giant tapeworms. Let's see what happens when these terrifying parasites actually set up shop inside their definitive host.
Okay, this number is going to shock you. 39 feet, or about 12 meters. Parasites like the Japanese broad tapeworm, which you find in wild salmon from Alaska and Japan, can grow to an astonishing 39 feet long inside a host's small intestine. No way, right? What's really staggering is the sheer scale of reproduction going on here. Once an adult tapeworm hits full size, it basically turns the host into a massive biological factory, discharging up to 1 million eggs per day into the host's feces. Literally a million. Now, if a human catches one of these, it is a bad time. You're looking at severe weight loss, intense abdominal pain, diarrhea, and anemia. And if you don't get treated, these infections can hang around for up to 25 years. But for the bear, totally different story.
Wildlife guides actually report seeing bears in late summer with massive tapeworms literally trailing behind them. Yet physically, it causes the bear almost no distress. The effects are entirely insignificant. See, the ultimate survival strategy for the parasite is to keep its powerful host alive. A dead bear equals a dead tapeworm, so the two just exist in a surprisingly balanced, albeit totally gross, harmony.
Let's move to Section 4, Shaping the Coastal Ecosystem. We're going to zoom way out to the macro level and see how this insane biological tolerance shapes the entire world around them. National Park Service data shows that this whole bear-salmon parasite dynamic feeds the entire coastal ecosystem. Bears drag salmon carcasses deep into the forest, which fertilizes the plant life. Then, their seed-filled scats, often carrying those tapeworm eggs, disperse resources over huge distances, feeding scavengers and subsidizing rodents. Their presence even influences local deer and moose populations. They're literally the ultimate ecosystem engineers. So, what does this all mean for us? Could the cure for human obesity and diabetes be hiding inside a hibernating bear's stomach? Like the researchers pointed out, we're still in the early days of this science. But if we can figure out exactly which bacteria protect these wild bears from the negative impacts of massive weight gain, we might just discover game-changing therapeutic targets for human metabolic diseases. The thought that the ultimate cure could be hiding in the gut of a wild, tapeworm-carrying, salmon-eating bear, that is an incredibly wild thought to leave you with today.